When the government wants to take it away, it's a temporary restriction of a right, and when it comes time to give it back, it's a privilege that the government needs to deem you entitled to get back. Viva Frei, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler, and the news of the day coming out of Michigan. Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who you might remember from such Fedsurrection kidnapping plots as the kidnapping plot of Gretchen Whitmer. Oh my goodness, she's got another plan now for the Michiganders, the citizens of Michigan, to take into their houses illegal immigrants who need a place to stay. Now, ordinarily, I'd say this is a good initiative for anybody who wants to do it. Do what you want with your own private property, but what this is, or what this will become in my humble prediction, is the government asking at first and then demanding later on. Furthermore, this is one of those situations where it's the government asking the citizens to make a sacrifice to help resolve a problem of the government's creation. From the Midwesterner, Gretchen Whitmer looking for Michigan residents to house migrants. Number of illegals coming into state unknown. And then look at her face. I made the joke earlier today during my live stream. That is the face of someone who eats you before they kill you. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer's, quote, Office of Global Michigan, end quote, is looking for resident volunteers to house illegal aliens in their homes and integrate them into society. Oh, so the government is now asking private citizens to do the job the government was elected to do in the first place. I've said it before and I'll say it again because it will be true forever. When the government takes it away, it's a right that you are sacrificing temporarily. When it comes time for the government to give it back to you, well, then it's become a privilege. Are you entitled to it? But just wait until we get into the substance of this article. ABC 12 reports Whitmer's administration is seeking volunteers to do several tasks, including, quote, meeting the person or family at the airport, helping find housing, enroll children in school, and help with finding employment for adults, end quote. Government is the only industry on earth where people fail upwards, where the more the government screws up, the more powers it gives the government to resolve the problems of its own creation. And can you imagine these are the tasks they're giving to private citizens to help resolve a problem of the government's making, while there are literally American citizens who are homeless on the streets right now. Like irresponsible parents who already have children of their own that they are currently neglecting, but in order to feel better about themselves as parents, they gotta have more children so they can neglect even more children. A homelessness crisis, veterans living on the streets, veterans taking their lives at record numbers, and what is Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan doing? Asking citizens to take illegal immigrants into their homes and do that which the government is supposed to be doing. The Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Development says residents who participate must take a 90-day commitment to apparently meet every migrant need. Quote, programs like the Welcome Corps advance the Office of Global Michigan's mission to make Michigan the home for opportunity for our immigrant, refugee, and ethnic communities, end quote. Poppy Hernandez, Global Michigan Director and Michigan's Chief Equity and Inclusion Officer, said in a statement, quote, expanded refugee resettlement pathways empower more Michiganders to support our state's growing refugee population and build a more welcoming and inclusive Michigan for all, end quote. Here's an idea for the government of Michigan. How about you take care of your own before you start welcoming more people into your state? And just wait for all of the headaches and crises that this will inevitably cause. I am predicting some serious legal issues insofar as, at least in Quebec, there's this thing known as the right to maintain occupancy for residents. I have a sneaking suspicion there might be some falling outs between Michiganders and the illegal immigrants that they are housing in their houses. They might not be able to get them out of their homes as easily as they were able to get them into their homes, and my goodness, that's when they're not using them as abject. There was a word for what this used to be in the past, of using unpaid labor for personal needs. What was the word for that? Because if you haven't seen this report coming out of Boston, Massachusetts, there is a nice, probably liberal person taking in illegal immigrants into their homes, and they love it because they have their own private unpaid chef.
It's a delight, and it's really fun having them. What I realized is there's so much prejudice against refugees, mostly because people don't know them.
Lisa says she feels like she has her own personal chef, as Wildande loves cooking.
¿Te gusta la ocupación?
Sí.
The more things change, the more things stay. Ooh, my voice cracked. The more things change, the more they stay the same. As we say in French back home in Quebec, plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose. This is outrageous. You have these liberal, virtue-signaling hypocrites taking immigrants into their homes so they can do chores and do their cooking for them. This is not much different than Joel Osborne on that show saying, Mr. Trump, if you kick out all of the immigrants, who's going to wash your toilets? Why is it that there's just a different iteration of saying exactly what they're doing, exploiting of illegal immigration for cheap or free labor?
You kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Oh, that's no.
In the sense that, you know what I mean? Like, when I'm saying
there's more jobs to be
in LA, they always
but
they
Latinos are not only the only people.
I didn't mean it like that. Come on.
Quote, it's a delight and it's really fun having them, end quote. Hillenbrand told NBC 10. Quote, what I realized is there's so much prejudice against refugees, mostly because people don't know them, end quote. According to NBC 10, Hillenbrand says, quote, she feels like she has her own personal chef, end quote. A personal chef who is an illegal immigrant that is presumably unpaid, there's a word for that, and it ain't good.
And we need immigrants in this country. Forget the fact that the farm, that our vegetables would rot in the ground if they weren't being picked by many immigrants, many illegal immigrants. The fact is that the birth rate in this country is way below replacement level, which means our population is going to start shrinking. And the ratio of people on Social Security and Medicare is going to increase relative to the number of people supporting them.
It's so complicated because, you know, you're a New Yorker, you move through the city every day as I do. We see these people, we touch these people, they're delivering our food, they're at the gas stations and the car wash.
And just to end with the absolute absurdity, insanity of poor government, this is Whitmer apparently saying that if the illegal immigrants don't come to Michigan, the population is going to decline. It is unclear how many migrants are being located to Michigan, but one Whitmer appointee recently said if it wasn't for illegals, the state's population would be shrinking. It is always the same twisted logic to justify the same ends. The population is allegedly shrinking. Might that have to do with terrible policy that is chasing people out en masse? Maybe. Might that have to do with killing the population by promoting abortion? Maybe. And now the population is shrinking, so bring in illegal immigrants instead of legal immigrants through the legal process so they don't need to be used for slaves in people's homes. I predict problems if there's a falling out between the host family and the illegal immigrant family. I'm predicting problems there. I'm also predicting that while this starts off as a request from the government, it is soon going to be a demand. Oh dear Michiganders, you're free not to open your doors, open your homes to illegal immigrants who are fleeing countries and coming in numbers untold. You're free not to do that. But it's going to cost you by way of the not housing illegal immigrants tax. They won't call it a tax, they'll call it a surcharge.
If I'm going to bail the country out, I'll have to raise taxes. But in my speech, I'd like to avoid calling it a painful emergency tax. Well, if you just want to out and out lie, we could call it a temporary refund adjustment. I love it. Really?
That is where it's going. Mark my words, mark my prediction. I don't know how long it's going to take to get there, but in these deep blue states, that is where it's going. And with that said, if you like my stuff, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Viva Frei on Rumble, the Viva Frei on Twitter, vivabarneslaw.locals.com on Locals, where everyone is above average. More important than anything, get out there, exercise, eat healthy, talk to people in real life, and now you know your vlog. Peace out, peeps.
Major budget cuts could be coming to every New York City agency. Mayor Adams is requesting 5% cuts across the board in response to the asylum seeker crisis.
For the better part of a year now, I have been clear that these costs will impact every city service. The simple truth is that longtime New Yorkers and asylum seekers will feel these potential cuts, and they will hurt.
The mayor claims the cuts are in direct response to what he calls inaction from both federal and state lawmakers. The city says it has spent nearly $1.5 billion handling the migrant crisis since last spring.